countdown for blastoff. X minus 5, 4, 3, 2, X minus 1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of Astounding Science Fiction, presents
X minus 1.
Tonight's story, Hello Tomorrow. After the third atomic war, when the Earth was a mass of red radioactive dust, a handful of men and women went deep underground in the struggle for survival. A new civilization was built deep underground, a civilization which must keep a ceaseless vigil against the deadly gamma rays which filter down through the Earth. A civilization where the prime consideration is the genetic survival of the race. It is to this civilization in the year of our Lord, 4195, that we take you now.
Professor Lois Burton?
Yes.
I have a call from the Director of Emotional Stability for the third oblong. Go ahead, sir. Hello, darling.
Hello, dear. How is the Director of Emotional Stability? My, how impressive that sounds.
Don't joke, dear. You never know who may be listening.
Sorry. How are you? You sound tired.
Well, we've had some bad cases. Mostly frantic mothers who insist on imparting their feelings to children. I suspect it's chromosomes affected by gamma ray leakage from the surface, but the head of the psychotechnic division says they're glandular cases. But that isn't why I called. I have good news.
What is it?
The genetic board has approved our application for marriage.
So soon?
Our chromosomes tested perfect. We can marry any time we want. As a geneticist, you should know that our offspring should be 90 percentile of perfection.
I know.
What's the matter? You are happy about it, aren't you?
Of course. Terribly happy.
I'm coming right over to the lab.
You'll have to give me some time.
What's the trouble?
No trouble. You know that genetic survey I've been working on?
What about it?
Well, I've finally gotten permission to study an actual living case, a specimen of imperfect genetic transmission.
Really?
They're bringing him, or it, up from the condemned cages on the lower level.
You will be careful.
There's nothing to be afraid of. The specimen is XJ12. It's been studied before many times and is quite well trained. Oh, there's my door signal. I'll have to hang up, darling. See you later. Yes?
Professor Burton?
Yes.
I'm from the Phylogenic Institute.
Oh, you brought my specimen?
May I come in?
By all means. Oh, how...
Horrible? It all depends on your viewpoint. I happen to have a twisted leg. My parents were genetically unsound.
But then you...
Yes, I am specimen XJ12.
I see.
I hope you aren't shocked.
No stable person permits feelings to enter into his work. I will admit to surprise. I was expecting something a little more abnormal.
Well, I try to be as abnormal as possible. It pays off. The Phylogenic Institute allows me out of the genetic cages ever so often so I can breathe the pure air of the upper levels and mingle with the genetically perfect.
You seem quite well educated.
I spent the first years of my life here in the upper levels.
How is that possible?
As a small child, my mother concealed me from the director of heredity. My mother actually, dreadful word, loved me.
That would explain your obviously low threshold of emotional control.
If you choose to call it that. You seem to be struggling to repress a few feelings yourself.
We will confine ourselves to the impersonal aspects of our work.
As you please.
I shall require you as a demonstration for a lecture I'm delivering to one of my classes tomorrow.
At your service.
Sit here, please. Grip these electrodes tightly. I'm going to calibrate your electrochemical tension.
I'm quite familiar with the procedure. Oh, I realize that as an imperfect, I am expendable, but I should hate to be electrocuted.
The charge is not lethal. Plus 15 surface tension.
You know, you have beautiful hair.
Plus 12 at a depth of 4 centimeters. My hair meets minimal requirements for the genetic code.
And lovely blue eyes. Crystal clear. Oh.
Plus 10 at 7 centimeters.
Pretty. A perfect woman. Lovely expressive hands. Oh. And a heart of stone. Like all the rest of you perfect survival types.
Shut up.
Oh, could it be you do have feelings?
I seem to sense an air of emotional tension.
It's nothing, dear. This is the specimen.
You, specimen. Tell this dolt who I am, Lois.
This is the Director of Emotional Stability for the Third Oblong. You will address him as Mr. Director.
Mr. Director.
This creature seems quite impertinent.
He's only a specimen, darling.
Well, use him and ship him back to the cages. He's probably radioactive.
Attention, attention. The next demonstration will be conducted by Professor Lois Burton of the Institute of Genetics. Her topic, the probability of radioactive damage in the chromosome heredity of imperfect non-survival types. Professor Burton.
As you know, most imperfects are destroyed at birth. However, those who, for one reason or another, manage to survive are segregated in cages on the lower level for study purposes. The specimen we have today has been trained to tell in his own words about the factors in his upbringing. You will have to forgive his immature emotional control factor. He is, as you can see, quite different. Specimen XJ12. You will proceed, please.
Thank you. My mother was a psychotechnician in the Fifth Oblong. My father was an historian specializing in the records of pre-atomic surface culture. In the earthquake of 2170, apparently some hard radiation filtered down through the tunnels and penetrated the Fifth Oblong. The effect on my hereditary factors is quite apparent in this twisted leg. My father taught me in the last days before he was executed that every human personality is born with certain inalienable natural rights. The rights to have feelings, the right to mature, and above all, the right to be different from every other living organism. Because it cannot be otherwise, I submit to you, distinguished students, that the attempt by this society to abridge these rights is a violation of nature. I submit that the imperfects, the mutants, those who are different, have as much right to exist and be free as you. And I say break open the cages.
Stop him!
Give us back the right to be individuals.
Stop him!
Oh!
Perhaps that will teach you. Professor Burton, take this specimen back to your laboratory and confine him.
Hold still while I bandage your head.
Oh.
You'll be all right.
I suppose you detest me for getting you into trouble.
I don't detest you.
What?
I don't know why, but as you spoke, something began to stir in me.
Tell me what you feel. If I moved you, then I must have moved the others, some of them at least.
For some reason, I took pride in what you were doing, seeing you stand up against them. Why do you look at me like that?
I can't help it.
I wish you wouldn't. You're only an imperfect, you know. Please.
My name is Orrin.
Please.
Say it. Orrin.
Orrin.
Again.
Orrin.
Lois.
Orin.
Lois.
How touching.
Walter.
I've been listening for some time.
Walter, how could you?
In my capacity as Director of Emotional Stability, it is my duty.
What are you going to do?
Specimen XJ12 will be disposed of quite systematically by the state. For the good of the state, for the good of the genetic code, and in the name of emotional stability.
Walter, I have to talk to you.
Go right ahead.
Walter, you mustn't destroy him.
The specimen? Why not?
He's emotionally unstable. You have to expect irrational behavior.
Aren't you forgetting something, my dear? That you were responding in much the same manner? Or had you forgotten? You see, I'm having him liquidated for your sake. He has an upsetting effect on you.
Then send him back to the cages. But don't kill him.
You speak of destroying an inferior creature as if it was something unethical.
Walter, please, for my sake.
I understand that you have entered a plea for postponement of marriage at the Records Bureau.
Yes. I was too upset to go through with it.
It came as a great disappointment to me.
I'm sorry.
I was hoping that, linked to a stable personality such as mine, you might settle down. If you were married to me, I might even be persuaded to send him back to the cages instead of having him destroyed. Think it over.
If I refuse?
The choice is yours. Well, my dear?
Perhaps you're right.
I am.
I suppose I ought to be rational about this. After all, he's an imperfect.
I'm glad you've come to your senses.
When can we be married?
Tomorrow, if you like.
The sooner the better.
Let me talk to the custodian, please. Hello. This is the Director of Emotional Stability for the Third Oblong. I would like you to cancel the execution of specimen XJ12. Turn him over to be remanded permanently to the genetic cages. You'd better go. I'll pick you up in, say, an hour, and we'll make plans. All right?
Yes. Yes, of course.
Hello. This is the Director of Emotional Stability again. I want you to cancel that last order. Proceed with the execution, but under conditions of absolute secrecy. No, don't use the lethal chamber. Take him through the upper level to the tunnels. Yes. Yes, I'll issue a pass for the radiation checkpoint.
Into the elevator.
Very well. Why are we going toward the surface? The cages are on the lower levels.
Radiation check.
I've never done that before.
New procedure. Walk.
Halt. You can't go beyond this point. There is radioactivity in the tunnels.
I have a pass from the Director of Emotional Stability for the Third Oblong. Special mission.
I'll open the airlock.
March inside. Turn around.
So this is how they get rid of the imperfects. Now, before you dispose of me...
Yes?
Help! Security! Security!
What is it? What's happened?
The prisoner struck me. He escaped into the tunnels.
He won't last long.
Can you go after him?
I could send a robot, but it isn't worth the trouble. There's no way back from the tunnels except through here. The only other direction he can go is toward the surface. And the closer he gets, the hotter the radiation. No, I think you can consider your prisoner officially dead.
More wine?
No, thank you, Walter.
You look very beautiful, my dear. Very beautiful.
Thank you.
The wedding will be a small affair. The director of endocrine control, the chief of the security guard.
Walter,
Yes?
was he returned to the cages?
Oh, now, why must you spoil it?
Was he, Walter?
Well, as a matter of fact, there was a little difficulty.
Difficulty?
Yes, you see, XJ-12 escaped.
How? Where?
He struck a guard and ran off into the tunnels.
The tunnels. But that's sure death.
He's free to return any time he chooses. Now, don't become upset, darling.
You planned it, didn't you, Walter?
Stability, darling, stability.
Stability, stability. Here's what I think of stability.
Halt! State your business.
I'm Professor Burton of the Genetic Institute.
You can't go into the tunnels, Professor.
You'll have to let me by. I'm the fiancée of the Director of Emotional Stability.
Oh, I suppose you're after the one who escaped?
Yes,
He's quite dangerous, I understand.
I'm well armed.
Wouldn't it be better to send a robot?
I'm quite capable of handling him. He was my subject.
All right, miss. It's your risk. Checkpoint.
This is the director of emotional stability.
Yes, sir.
If Professor Burton tries to pass the checkpoint, I want her taken into custody.
Professor Burton just passed, sir. She
You
said that...
idiot!
But, sir, she said that
I
she
don't
had...
care what she said. Stop her. Send robots after her. Get her back.
Yes, sir. At once, sir. Robot control. Checkpoint to robot control. Order out all televocal robots into the tunnels. Have them bring back any humans. This is a first priority order.
Oren! 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 Oren, where are you? Oren.
Hello?
Oren! It's Lois.
This way. Behind the rock. Over here.
Oh, darling, darling.
Lois. Lois, why did you come here? It's suicide.
I had to. Oh, darling, are you all right?
So far.
You've got to turn back. Give yourself up.
They'll kill
You
me.
can't stay here. The radiation is +4 at this point. It gets worse as you approach the surface.
Lois, darling, go back.
What will you do?
I'm going ahead.
But you can't.
I can. I'm going to the surface.
It's certain death. Not even the robots can survive it.
Well, at least I'll be the first human in 1,100 years to see what the surface of the Earth looks like.
Come back with me.
No, Lois.
Then I'm going with you.
Lois.
Don't try to stop me, darling. There's nothing to go back to now. Nothing but Walter and emotional stability.
You really want to come with me?
Yes.
You know what it means.
I don't care.
My mother used to believe there was a life after death. A place called heaven.
We'll believe it, too.
Oh, no, Lois, I can't let you go.
Oren, I love you. See, I know how to say it now.
Say it again.
Oren, I love you.
What is that?
It sounds like... Oren, it's a robot patrol. They're looking for us.
All right, come on. This way.
Oren, wait.
It can't be much farther, darling.
The robots. They're coming. I can see their lights now.
Listen, they've stopped.
The lights are swinging round. Oren, they see us.
Come on. Look, Lois, look ahead. You can see the lights reflecting from something.
It looks like a lead door.
Come on through. There must be some way to close it. Oh, yes, here.
Let me help.
Well, they won't get through that. It's solid lead.
Oren, I feel so strange. Where are we?
I don't know.
Look, up there. A huge round light.
Lois.
Yes, Oren.
Lois, that's Luna, the moon. We're on the surface.
How strange and red everything looks. How it glows.
It's the radioactivity.
Quiet and peaceful and deadly.
Oh, hush, darling, hush. Sit here and rest a while.
Put your arm around me.
Yes.
Oren, I'm afraid. Oren, we're going to die.
Don't think about that. Just think about us. Alone. The first humans to stand on the surface of Earth in 1,100 years. That door must have been placed there by the last handful of survivors who went underground after the atomic wars.
And those other lights, the small ones, they must be stars. Oren, I'm so tired.
Go to sleep, darling. Put your head on my shoulder and sleep.
Hold me, Oren. Hold me very close. Oren.
Hmm?
Oren, wake up.
Hmm? What?
Look, it's light. The whole universe is light. Oh, Oren, how beautiful. Look.
This must be the heaven my mother talked about.
See the plants? All green and fresh. And the birds. How strange they look.
Lois, this isn't heaven.
But we must be dead, Oren. We should be dead. The radiation.
By all the laws of nature, yes.
By
and yet...
all the laws of nature. Oren. Oren, we're not dead. This is Earth. And we're alive. We're not going to die.
But, Lois, the radiation, it's present. You can see its effects.
Oren, did you ever hear of geotropism?
I'm not a geneticist.
There is a natural law of adaptation by which an organism will try to adjust itself to its environment by changing. It's called geotropism, don't you see?
No.
All these generations we've been bombarded by radiation filtering down through the Earth. Each successive generation must have inherited some degree of immunity.
But...
Oren, it can't hurt us. Don't you see? We're immune. We're probably the first generation to inherit sufficient immunity.
But, darling, if that's true, then we can transmit that immunity. We can pass it along to our children.
And they to their children. Come on. We'll have to find food and water.
The practical wife. Wait a minute.
What are you doing with that rock?
I want to scratch something on the outside of this lead door.
Lois and Oren.
4195 A.D.
Hello, tomorrow.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of Astounding Science Fiction. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was an NBC Radio Network production. Countdown for blastoff. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in 1,000,000 could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of Astounding Science Fiction, presents
X minus 1.
Tonight's story, Ray Bradbury's Dwellers in Silence. "20 years had passed. 20 years since the last of the giant migration ships had crashed to the surface of Mars bearing its pitiful handful of survivors of the Earth Wars. 20 years of longing, of turning eyes toward the green Earth as it hung on the horizon like a beckoning light. And now it was done. And the first new ship, built of shining Martian chromaton, had lifted bravely toward home with 3 men locked in its metal belly.
There it is. You can barely see the top of the Atomic Trades building in the twilight. They never finished building it.
Captain,
What is it?
am I going out of my mind? Look, out that way, to the west. Could that be...
Heaven, it is. Those are lights. Turn the ship. Full cruising speed.
They are lights. Captain, it's a city, a whole blasted city lit up like a Christmas tree. What do you think of your dead planet now, Williams?
Decelerate to -5. We're going to take her down.
Unbelievable. We've been walking for hours now and not a soul to be seen.
There must be someone. How do you explain the lights?
Unless they've been burning like this for 20 years.
Impossible.
I don't know.
Municipal building. Do we have a look here, sir? Possibly the records might contain some.
That's a good idea. Keep your weapons ready. We'll start right here with the city clerk's office. Better check radiation again, Doctor.
Well, not enough to do any damage.
Gives you the creeps, doesn't it? Look at this desk. Papers crumpled, inkstand, just as if somebody came in and worked here every day. Dog licenses, hunting permits.
That's strange. There's ink in that inkstand.
Well, what of it?
Well, you'd think standing open for 20 years it would have dried up. Good heavens.
If I hadn't heard it with my own ears. Evans, did that phone ring?
Yes. Well?
Pick it up, Doctor.
Hello?
Good day, Doctor. How are you? I called to ask some advice about a trepanning problem. Can you tell me if the lateral cut should be made first?
Hello. Hello. This is absolutely insane. Hello.
Thank you, Doctor. I'll do that. By the way, how is your wife, Alice? And the girls? And your son, John? Fine boy, John. I'll call again tomorrow. Goodbye, Doctor.
Hello. Hello. Gone dead.
Who was it?
I don't know. Strange voice carried on a conversation about some surgical operation without paying the slightest attention to anything I said. Captain.
What is it?
Listen. Someone is coming, walking slowly toward the corridor.
Coming closer.
Jumping Jupiter. It's a man. An old man.
Are you... Is it really someone? You seem to be real. I saw the ship come down, and I thought perhaps I was losing my mind. It's been so many years.
I'm Captain John Parsons. These are my assistants, Dr. Evans and Mr. Williams. We returned to Earth from Mars.
Then it's happened. We're not alone anymore. Forgive me, gentlemen, if I seem moved. I've waited and hoped for so long.
You survived the radiation.
We did.
There are others.
My family. We are the only ones.
I answered the phone a moment ago. Who was it?
You heard my voice, Doctor.
Yours?
Yes. To break the loneliness. I've recorded my voice and rigged up an automatic telephone. It's pleasant to hear the phone ring. I come here to work.
I take it you are a medical man.
My name is Cornelius Hathaway.
Hathaway? Hathaway, the brain surgeon?
You know my name?
Who doesn't? I watched you on television at college. Why, I saw you 23 years ago. You performed a difficult surgery for a cerebral tumor.
Thank you. I'd almost forgotten. My mind, you see, I'm almost 80 now.
Well, you look fine, sir.
We've had the best of everything. An entire city to choose from. Cold storage, the best equipment. But come. There's a fine dinner waiting for you, and you'll want to meet my family. When I saw the ship come down, I told Alice, my wife, you know, to prepare a feast. This is a great day for me, gentlemen. A great, great day. Alice, come out to the porch and see who we have here. Alice, you here? Come out. My wife, gentlemen. Alice, Captain Parsons, Dr. Evans, Mr. Williams.
How do you do, Hathaway?
How do you do?
And now, if you will follow me in, gentlemen, we'll meet my children.
Lord, what a beautiful woman.
She looks no more than 35.
Do you suppose the radiation could have done that to her?
I don't know.
And these are my daughters, Susan and Marguerite, and my son, John.
How do you do? How do you do, sir?
Sit down, gentlemen, sit down. We'll have a feast in honor of this occasion. Susan, Marguerite, get the best silverware and the damask napkins. And John, fetch the champagne.
Yes, Father. Excuse me a moment, John.
Sir?
How old are you?
23, sir.
Thank you.
What is it, Captain? Something wrong?
Nothing. Except that it's impossible. You see, Dr. Hathaway's son was already in college when I started. That would make him at least 45. That was a wonderful meal, Mrs. Hathaway. Doctor, your wife is an exceptional woman.
Thank you, sir.
How would you gentlemen like some fresh gingerbread with your coffee? I baked it this morning.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Smell that, Doctor?
It's like coming home, Mrs. Hathaway.
It's like home having you here.
Mrs. Hathaway, may I compliment you on having preserved your youth and beauty so well?
Thank you. We have no worries here. No competition. All the things we need for material comfort.
Parsons and I were wondering, Dr. Hathaway, if the radioactivity had any effect in preserving tissue. Your children all look so young, too.
It is possible, gentlemen, of course. Radiation does strange things to living tissue. Alice, could we have some champagne? Alice.
Oh, I'm sorry. What, John?
Some champagne, please.
Champagne? Oh, yes, of course.
An amazing woman. Did you ever see such grace, such complete relaxation?
It doesn't seem quite natural.
I beg your pardon, gentlemen?
Captain Parsons was just about to ask how you and your family managed to escape, Dr. Hathaway.
We were very fortunate. You see, my home was in the Sierra Mountains at the time. I had a lead-lined laboratory in the basement where I did X-ray research. My hobby, you know. I chose this house because it was on a hill where I could watch the sky. Oh, the loneliness of those first years.
But at least you had your wife and children.
Yes, I had my family. If it were not for them, gentlemen, I assure you I would long ago have put a bullet in my head.
Champagne, Captain?
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Hathaway. May I propose a toast?
Oh, let me. Gentlemen, to Earth.
To Earth?
Earth. May she never be stranger to man. And...
Hathaway, what is it? You all right?
It's nothing. It's nothing, really. Just a rather sharp pain in the chest. Why don't you gentlemen go out on the porch and enjoy the air? You've had a long and tiring journey. Alice, we'll show you the way.
Will you be all right, John?
Yes, don't trouble yourself. I'll see you all in the morning.
Good night, Doctor.
Good night. Come, John.
Yes, Father.
Well, what do you think of old Mother Earth now, Williams? Smell that summer breeze. And look at that view of the city lighted up against the sky.
It has a certain quality.
Well, score 1 point for the back-to-earth proponents.
I didn't say that.
You're beginning to feel it, though, Williams, I can tell.
If you don't mind, gentlemen, I'm quite tired. I think I'll turn in. Excuse me?
Well, Captain?
Well, what?
What do you make of all this?
I don't know what you mean.
This Hathaway and his family. There's something strange and unnatural going on here. I can sense it.
Oh, I think you're reading things into it, Doctor.
Perhaps. Well, I'll turn in, too. Coming?
In a moment. I want to smoke a cigarette.
It's a very beautiful view, is it not?
Oh, I didn't hear you come out. How is he?
Resting. I've never seen him this bad.
Yes, he's an old man. I'm sorry, but the difference in your ages is so apparent. You must have been married very young.
You don't know about us, then.
No,
Perhaps it is better that way.
I don't follow you. Is it something about your husband? He acts very strangely.
My husband is a very great man, Captain. It is too bad there was no one to appreciate him. Once he wired the whole city with sound speakers. And when he pressed a button, the whole town lit up and made noises as if 10,000 people were living in it.
He must have been very lonesome. Although, with a woman such as you, I don't understand.
Perhaps one day you will understand.
I hope you will come to trust me as a friend.
I can trust no one but him. Good night, Captain.
Good night, Mrs. Hathaway.
Captain. Captain Parsons.
What is it? Who's there?
Dr. Evans.
Oh, what's wrong? What time is it anyway?
2 a.m.
What's wrong?
I couldn't sleep. A few minutes ago, I heard someone slip out the front door. In the moonlight, I saw it was the old man. He was headed toward the ship.
What are you suggesting, Doctor?
Nothing, except that it's fairly unnatural for an old man with a bad heart to go wandering off at 2 in the morning.
Very well. We'll follow him. This is far enough.
What do you suppose he's doing? What are those on the ground?
Good Lord, those are grave markers. 4 of them.
You're right. He seems to be praying over them.
Listen.
Do you forgive me for what I had done? I had to do it. I was so lonely, so terribly lonely. You don't mind too much? You do forgive me, don't you? Yes. Yes, I feel you do. Well, I'm glad. I think perhaps I can rest now. I think
He's having another attack. Come on. Hathaway. Dr. Hathaway, can you hear me? Raise his head, Evans. Dr. Hathaway.
His lips are moving.
What is it, Doctor?
Closer. Lean closer. I'm sorry I had to spoil all of this. I've expected it for some time.
We'll fix you up.
No, I'm an excellent diagnostician. It really doesn't matter. Except for them.
What about them, Hathaway?
You suspected, didn't you?
Yes, I suspected. But I couldn't believe it until now. Do they know?
No, they wouldn't understand. I wouldn't want them to know. Ever.
Doctor?
He's dead, Captain. What was it he meant about your suspecting?
Light a match, Dr. Evans. Look on those 4 grave markers and tell me what you see.
Good heavens.
Well?
Alice Hathaway, Marguerite Hathaway, Susan Hathaway, John Hathaway. Died July 1987. But that's 20 years ago. It's impossible. If these markers are correct, then who are those others?
Can't you guess, Doctor? Can't you guess? I'm sorry, Mrs. Hathaway.
He didn't want us to feel badly. He told us it would happen one day and that he didn't want us to cry. He didn't teach us how, you know. He said it was the worst thing that could happen, to know how to be lonely and unhappy. We weren't to know what death is.
Perhaps it's just as well.
You know about us, don't you?
Yes, I know. I didn't think you knew yourself.
The children don't. I have been aware for a long while.
No one would have guessed. You're so perfect.
He would have liked to hear you say that. He was so very proud of us. After a while, he came to love us, and at the end he took us as his real wife and children. He even forgot, sometimes, that he had made us.
You gave him a great deal of comfort.
Yes. Over the years, we sat and talked. He loved so much to talk. I was first, you know. Then he became lonesome for the children, and So he made them. There was only one thing. One flaw.
And that?
He couldn't make us grow old. And so he had to watch himself become an old, old man while we stayed young. It was a great blow to him.
We'll bury him on a hillside where the other 4 crosses are. I think he would like that.
Yes, he would.
Mrs. Hathaway, Alice, I think that you are a very great and wonderful woman. And so we commend the body of this man, John Hathaway, to his Maker. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust returneth. Amen.
Come, John.
Yes, Mother.
Susan, Marguerite.
Evans, Williams, stay here a moment, please.
What is it?
Let them go back to the house. I want to speak to you.
I know what you're going to tell us, Captain. I saw the names on the grave markers.
Well?
It's a mockery, a blasphemy of everything we believe in. For a man to do something so evil.
Can't you imagine what he faced? Can't you imagine what it must have been like to have watched his wife and children die slowly of radiation burns? To know that he was the last man on the face of the earth, alone, eternally and unalterably alone. Good Lord, man, what would you have done if you'd had his medical and technical genius? I'll tell you. You'd have come back to your laboratory just as he did and tried to recapture all the wonderful things that they had been to you. You'd use all the power of your memory, all the accuracy of your fingers, and you'd try to put together, bit by bit, all those things that were wife, son, and daughter.
It's incredible. So you suggest that we take them back, Captain?
I don't know. We haven't enough space in the ship for that. Every ounce counts. Still, to leave them here like that, alone...
I think I have an answer, cold-blooded as it may seem.
Go on.
I suggest that we turn them off.
Do you think I could do that?
No, but I think I could. After all, they aren't human. They're worse than robots. They're ghoulish. I suggest you go back to the ship, Captain, and leave me to deal with them.
I will not permit it.
You've no choice in the matter. I assure you it'll be quick and entirely painless.
I hate to admit it, but he's right, Captain. We can't take them with us, and it would be less than human to leave them here without Hathaway. They were created by him for himself. They have no other feelings, no other purpose. If you leave them, they'll go on year after year, night after night, talking, laughing, baking strawberry biscuits for no reason, not knowing who they are, why they exist.
Could you do it, Doctor?
I don't know.
I've already offered to do it.
No, I wouldn't want it to be you, Williams. You're sick. You have no feelings. If Dr. Evans here can do it, well, so be it.
It's a difficult thing, Captain.
Still, as you say, they aren't human. Logic is on your side. It isn't as if you were murdering someone. Well,
give me the blast gun, Williams.
We'll wait in the ship. Take off in half an hour.
Half an hour.
6:25. He should be back soon.
Yes.
He's doing the only humane thing, Captain. They're less than human.
Are they?
Well, it's done now. No one will ever... That's the airlock. He's back.
Well, here's your gun.
Did you do it?
When I entered the house, one of the daughters looked up at me, and she smiled. The others smiled. He taught them that, taught them to make him feel welcome when he came home at night. I knew that, and yet... Well, I should have done it then. I might have, but she came in. The wife. She said something about sitting down for a cup of tea. She looked at me with those fine, intelligent eyes. I couldn't do it. It would be murder. Cold-blooded murder.
I prayed you wouldn't be able to do it. There will never be anything as fine as they are, you know. Built to last 100, 200, perhaps 1,000 years. Well, get the course in the integrator, Williams. We'll take off in 20 minutes. I should be back by then.
You're going out, sir?
I'm going to say goodbye.
You've come back.
Only to say goodbye.
It was nice of you.
I wanted you to know that I'm coming back.
Here? To us?
Here. To you.
I believe you.
I never meant anything more.
When will you come?
I don't know. It'll take many years to prepare fuel for another trip. 6, 7, perhaps 10 years.
I will watch the sky at night, just as he watched it.
I'm not a young man.
Time is nothing to me. I was born out of time.
I'm afraid I must go now.
I understand. Strange. I have a new feeling. One which he didn't teach us. A feeling of longing, of sadness.
That one is not taught. It comes of being alive.
Yes, I am alive. Even though he created me, I'm a person now.
Goodbye, Alice Hathaway.
Goodbye, John Parsons.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of Astounding Science Fiction. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you Dwellers in Silence, written by Ray Bradbury and adapted for radio by George Lefferts. Featured in the cast were Anne Seymour, Carl Weber, Theodore Osborne, Richard Hamilton, Edwin Jerome, and Stan Early. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production. Don't forget, next week, X-1 will be heard on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Countdown for blastoff. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of Astounding Science Fiction, presents
X minus 1.
Tonight's story, The Outer Limit, by Graham Dorr. We go ahead now in time to 1965. We're on a vast concrete runway set in the desert of the Southwest. A giant metal ship stands before us, prow pointed for the stars. And in 5 minutes, the signal will flash and it will tear up through the atmosphere to the outer limit.
Attention! Attention! Clear field for takeoff! Clear field!
5 minutes, Steve.
Right. Warm her up, Charlie.
Turn her over!
I want to go over procedure again, Steve.
Don't worry, I got it straight.
We'll just make sure.
Okay, I take her up on jets to 50,000, then I cut in the rockets.
No lower, or your tail blast will burn out 3 counties.
I climb 4 minutes on rockets, then start maneuver tests.
Remember that, no more than 4 minutes. The ship isn't like those strato rockets that you've been testing. She's the first one built for outer space. If she works, you can go clear to the moon.
If I'd have known, I'd have brought my toothbrush.
Not this trip. Now get this, Steve. You've got power there to clear the Earth's gravitational field, but remember, after you cut in the rockets, you've only got 10 minutes fuel. If you go beyond the outer limit and don't save fuel for the return, you won't get down again, ever. You'll drift out into space. Get that now. 10 minutes fuel.
Okay.
As far as I'm concerned, this project is a lot more important than that cosmic ray bomb that they're testing out in the Pacific tonight.
Well, the Security Commission brass doesn't think so. I don't see any undersecretaries under anything.
Don't you worry, Steve. In the long run, our ship will make the CR bomb back-page stuff. But in the meantime, it's just as dangerous. Now, remember, half the principles in this ship are pure theory, slide rule stuff. If anything goes wrong, we may have to scrape you off the landscape with a soup spoon.
You have a charming sense of humor.
Now, here's what I'm getting at, Steve. We're risking your neck in this test. Anything blows, we don't want to have the next man pull the same boner. So keep your mic open. Keep talking. If anything goes wrong, we want to know exactly why. And we won't be able to ask you. Let us know before you pull every switch, before you do anything. Got that? Even if you only have to blow your nose.
All right, get those fuel lines away.
Well, I guess that's about all, Steve.
Hey, that reminds me. If Mary calls, I'm just up on a milk run. I didn't tell her today was it.
How is Mary?
She's okay, but she's due about now, and I don't want her to get nervous.
Hey, I didn't know the baby was that close. Steve, you know, I really ought to be sending a single man on this job.
What, and cut me out of a soft paycheck? Forget it, Hank. You know you can't get anybody else who can take 15 G's acceleration when those rockets cut in.
Yeah, I know. It's time, Steve.
Yeah. I'll see you later. Don't worry, Hank. I'll sweat for both of us. Button her up, Charlie. So long, Hank.
So long. We'll give you the light from control.
X2 JTR to control. Are you there yet, Hank?
Okay, Steve. I'm ready to go.
Mr. Hanson.
Ready on radar, Sergeant?
Check. Mr. Hanson, you better see this.
What is it, Elsie?
Message sent for Steve. Mrs. Weston just left for the hospital.
What? Hello, Steve.
Yeah?
Stand by a minute.
Shall I hold it up, Mr. Hanson?
Yes. No, wait just a minute. It's too late now.
You going to tell him?
Maybe he's got enough to worry about.
Hey, what's holding us up, Hank? Something on your mind?
No, there's nothing, Steve. I just wanted to say good luck. All right, Charlie. Give him the light. All right, Steve, I'm reading you clear.
I'm at 20,000. Airspeed 600. He's running fine. Soundproofing works. There's a 3-degree waiver in the AGY pressure.
Got that, Charlie?
Check. Dead center on radar, Mr. Hanson.
50,000 now. I'm cutting loose the port jet. Now the starboard. Now I'm off jets. Airspeed dropping. Now I'm opening the rocket ports. The switch sticks a little, Charlie. Oxy-alcohol pressure 350. All right, now I'm advancing the ignition key. Here goes rocket 1.
Steve, you all right?
Yeah. Feels like somebody slugged me with a sledgehammer. Airspeed now 1,200. Here goes number 2. She's okay, Hank. Running like a Swiss watch. She's okay.
Hello, Steve. Elapsed rocket's time is now 4 minutes. What's your altitude? Over to you.
Speed 4,400, still climbing. Altitude 297 miles.
All right, you're at the outer limit. Level off for maneuver tests. You've got exactly 6 minutes fuel left.
I'm starting a 3-degree left bank. She's a little sluggish. There, it's all right. There's a low vibration somewhere. Maybe the cockpit cover. My view screen's a little fogged. Now I'm straightening out.
5 minutes fuel left.
Now I'm starting a 3-degree right. Hey,
What's the matter? What's wrong?
There's something up here. Something shining.
What are you talking about?
There's something above me, Hank. I'm going to chase it.
Steve, you're at the outer limit now.
I can see it plain now.
Now, Steve, don't go any higher. You've only got 4 minutes left. You've only got...
I'm getting static. I can't hear you, Hank. It's dead ahead now. I'm going to make a pass at it and get a good look. Here goes. Hey, it's swerving to meet me. It's dead ahead now. Look out, it's dead ahead.
Hello? Hello, Steve. Steve, come in.
9 minutes fuel gone.
There's still no sign
Hello.
of radar.
Hello, Steve. What happened? Charlie, get the crash squad out. Tell the Army squadron to alert their search plane.
Right.
9.5 minutes gone.
Hello, Steve. Steve, listen to me. What's happened? Where the devil is he? Hello. Come in, Steve. Steve, come in. Hello, Steve. Hello, Steve.
10 minutes.
Steve.
That's the end of the fuel.
How long has it been now?
10 hours, Mr. Hanson.
Nothing more on radar, Sergeant?
The screen's blank.
Colonel Carulli called in. The search planes are back. Couldn't find anything.
Should be some trace.
He couldn't have bailed out, could he?
You don't hit the silk at 4,400 miles an hour. We either went past the outer limit and ran out of fuel, or something blew, and we'll find the pieces scattered from here to the coast. Why does it have to be the best man? Always the best man. Charlie, we got to figure out what was wrong.
Right.
Something must have blown.
All right, I'll call him. Goodbye. Mr. Hanson, there's a message from Northside Hospital for Steve.
Well, what is it?
Mrs. Weston is fine. It's a boy.
Oh, thank you, Elsie. It's a boy, Charlie.
Yeah.
Fine. It's a boy. We didn't even know that she went to the hospital. How am I going to tell Mary that?
No, it wasn't your fault, Mr. Hanson. The ship was tested.
Yeah, and we'll build another, and some other flying fool will shoot past the outer limit into space. Well, I'm getting old, Charlie. You can remember when I used to take them up myself. Now I've got to send other men.
Look, it's a job, Mr. Hanson.
Now I'm afraid. Every time I hear a jet go off, I jump. Every time I have to send somebody up on a new model, I start to sweat.
Mr. Hanson.
Yeah?
I think I've got something on the radar.
No flights scheduled in, are there, Elsie?
No, the whole day's cleared.
It's coming in behind us. Here he comes over the building.
Yeah. What crazy jockey is buzzing the field like that? Is that an Army plane, Charlie?
No, I can't see. Here he comes back again. I know that engine. Yes, it's Steve.
That's impossible.
Look, that's his ship.
It can't be.
He's circling back for landing.
Charlie, clear the field.
He's coming back in. Mr. Hanson, there's not another ship in the world that looks like that. I tell you, it's got to be Steve.
Thank God. All right, sit down over there, Steve. Quicker we get this done, the quicker you get over to see Mary and the baby. Elsie, give the order to check and refuel the rockets. I don't want anybody in here till I get Steve's reports. Bury any calls. All right, Steve, what's happened? What the devil happened to you?
Hank, that cosmic ray bomb. Does it still go off tonight?
What are you talking about? Straighten out, Steve. Where have you been for the last 10 hours?
Listen, Hank, there's something more important.
Now, come on. I've got to get a report on the screen to Washington, so let's have it, will you? I've got to know how you stretched 10 minutes fuel to keep you in the air for 10 hours.
One thing before
now,
I talk.
Now, look, Steve.
Will you have the Geiger men run over the ship before they refuel?
What did you run into?
So help me, Hank, I don't know. But we better check and make sure it isn't radioactive.
Elsie, add a Geiger report on the standard check. Steve, maybe we better have the medics look you over, too.
No, I'm all right. They said I'd be all right.
They? Look, son, I know you've had a tough time, but we've had this field on the alert for 10 hours, boy. One of the Army boys cracked up looking for you, and he's hurt bad. So let's have the story. Let's have it straight.
I don't know how to tell you, Hank. Hank, I saw something up there.
At 300 miles?
I chased something up there, Hank, and I caught it.
Now, don't hand me that,
listen,
Steve.
Listen! I was cruising along, just starting the right bank, when I spotted something. It must have been going about half my speed. It was egg-shaped and smooth. I made a pass at it, and I came back for another, and then there was a humming sound.
Humming?
Sort of a vibration. And then I blacked out. I was headed straight for it at 4,400 miles an hour. I thought it was going to be the biggest smash since Hiroshima. And listen, Hank, is there a drink in that bottle?
Yeah, sure. Well? What happened?
Hank, I came to inside their ship.
Steve, this whole thing has been a devil of a strain on you. I'm going to call Major Donaldson from the Army base, ask him to sit in.
The psychiatrist? Yeah, that's a good idea. Let him run his tests. He'll tell you I'm not kidding. Because, Hank, unless I miss my guess, I've just been tipped off to the way the world ends.
You should be getting drowsy now. Count backwards from 10.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 6.
He's under. Now we attach the head plate electrodes and the cortical pickup. Look out for that wire, Mr. Hanson. 3.0 setting and 31.3. Now, throw that switch, Mr. Hanson. I have to start him off by suggestion. All right, Steve. You're in your ship now. You're in the rocket.
Rocket?
You're in the rocket. You're in the rocket, and you've just sighted something strange.
Now I'm starting at 3 degree right.
What's that?
Hey, there's something up there. Something shining.
His memory pattern. We're picking it up electronically.
Something above me, Hank. I'm going to chase it.
Pipe through the audio circuits.
Getting static. I can't hear you, Hank.
This is where we lost contact with him.
I'm going to make a pass at it. Hey, it's swerving to meet me. It's dead ahead now. Look out. It's dead ahead.
Now what?
This is where he blacked out. No telling how long, minutes or hours.
What's that noise?
I don't know. Shh.
Where? How did I get here? What? Who are you?
Is he seeing things?
Galactic Patrol. What's that?
What are they saying, Steve? What are they saying?
It's about nuclear fission. They know about it. They know the danger of it. Long ago, they had wars that almost destroyed them. But finally, they learned. Now they've outlawed war.
Go on, Steve.
They patrol space. When their detector picks up an atomic explosion, they send a patrol. They've been observing Earth, and they found wars and rumors of wars.
What are they going to do?
They've quarantined us.
Quarantine?
They've isolated all Earth because we're infected with a communicable disease. Because we don't know how to control ourselves yet. And until we learn, we'll be a menace to the whole universe.
What is this nonsense?
Quiet. How are they going to do it, Steve?
Well, they've spread out a layer here of I don't know what to call it. It's all around the Earth. It's miles deep. And when there's an atomic explosion on Earth, the radioactive particles will drift up to this layer and set off a chain reaction that'll go around the world in microseconds. And that's the end. Yes? Yes, I understand. I've got to bring back the warning. You're going to put me back in my ship to bring the warning.
Now what?
Blacked out again. I guess that's all.
What does all that mean?
It's what he remembers.
You don't think that really happened?
No. Narco-psychometry circuits produced what he remembers. Just means that Steve believes this happened.
I don't like to see this. I've seen too many top pilots snap. Steve is the best I've known. How bad do you think he is?
Well, frankly, outside of the presence of this well-organized hallucination, there are no signs of unbalance. May not be too serious. If he had a more plausible story, I'd be inclined to believe it.
Warning. Hank.
It's all right, boy.
Did you hear it, Hank? Do you understand?
Yeah, sure. We've been quarantined.
No. Let me give you something to make you sleep, Steve.
But don't you understand? They fixed it so that if we set off one more nuclear explosion, we will have had it.
Of course. Now, don't roll your sleeve down.
You don't believe me?
Now, take it easy, Steve.
But the test, they're setting off the cosmic ray bomb, Hank, tonight. What time is it?
11:20.
It's scheduled for midnight. Hank, we've got to stop that bomb.
Let Donaldson give you the hypos.
You got to believe me. I saw them. I got the warning. If we touch off the Q-bomb tonight, we'll be the biggest galactic 4th of July of all time. The whole Earth will go up like a Roman candle. April 10th, 1965, the end.
Look, Steve, you better calm down now. Don't you want to see Mary and the baby? You've got a new son, remember?
That's just it. I want to see my son. I want him to live. If the bomb goes off, Hank, we got to stop it.
Mr. Hanson, I think we'd better get over to the base hospital.
Hank, you got to believe me.
Sure, Steve. Maybe there's something to it. Look, it's out of our hands now, Steve. I'll put it in a report, shove it into Washington in the morning.
In the morning? There won't be any morning, Hank. You've got to call Washington now. Get the head of the Security Commission and postpone the test.
Now, you know I can't do that. My neck would be out a mile. Besides, this is 1965, not 45. 20 countries have the atomic bomb now. What's the use of stopping just this one? The rest will keep right on popping them off.
Well, then we'll have to call an international conference. Can't you understand, Hank? The first one that goes off finishes us. It's the end. They've given us the quarantine warning.
Steve, I think you'd better go with us to the base hospital.
Look, Steve, we can call up for a detail if we have to.
All right, I'll go with you. You don't need a straitjacket.
That's the way, Steve. You'll probably feel better by morning. Let's go.
Tomorrow I'll drive you over to the hospital to see Mary and the kid.
Sure.
Look at the ship under the floodlights. Pretty, huh? You'll be flying her again soon, Steve. Don't worry.
Yeah, I guess so. What's she doing out on the line? They refuel her?
Yeah, we got Clausewitz coming in tomorrow from Denver for another test. Figure we'd give you a day off.
Yeah, that's good. That's fine.
Steve!
Hey, let me go!
Come on, Donaldson! Steve! Steve, come back here!
He's heading for the rocket!
That's crazy! Steve! Get down off of there, Steve! We can't get at him now. That hood is armor glass.
Hey, he's waving.
To its control, the radio. Come on!
I should have gotten help.
Come on, Donaldson. The radio is still hooked up. Hello, Steve.
Listen to me, Hank. You got to call Washington now.
Look, Steve, come out of the rocket.
I'll call my men, Hanson.
Don't try anything, Hank. They refueled the rocket for tomorrow.
Take it easy, Steve.
Listen, you know what'll happen if I fire the rocket tubes down here?
Steve, don't, please.
It'll burn out every building for 5 miles. All of us in one big blast.
What do you want, Steve?
You got to stop that bomb. You got to call Washington now.
They won't believe me.
You make that call or I cut in the rocket. I mean it, Hank. You hook my screen to yours in parallel. I want to see exactly what you're doing.
All right. Just don't fire those rockets.
Get going, Hank. You got 12 minutes to make that call and stop the bomb.
All right. I'm making the parallel hookup now. Donaldson, you think he'll really blast?
I don't know. Up to now, I'd almost say it was normal, but this Hanson, he's liable to do anything.
Steve, there, you're getting it on your screen?
Yeah. Now put that call through.
All right.
Operator.
Visit screen to Washington.
The visit screen circuits are busy, sir. If you try again in half an hour.
This is a Security Commission priority. Break in. Get me a line.
Just a moment, please.
10 minutes, Hank.
Listen, Steve, I'm trying.
Ready to take your call, sir.
Washington Security Commission 3. Urgent. I want Undersecretary Herbert Ames.
Washington 3. 1 moment, please.
Hurry, will you, please?
1 moment, please.
Chicago.
San Marco calling Washington visit screen 3. Urgent.
Washington 3. 1 moment, please.
What time is it, Donaldson?
11:51.
Do you think he'll fire those rockets?
He might.
Washington.
Go ahead, San Marco.
Visit screen 3. Mr. Herbert Ames.
That is a coded exchange. I cannot accept your call without clearance.
Listen, Washington, put this through. This is Mr. Hanson of Hanson Rockets Incorporated at San Marco Air Base. This is a priority call. I'm coded.
1 moment, please. I will check your code number.
Get it through, Hank. That bomb goes off at 12.
Will you be reasonable, Steve?
Your call has cleared, San Marco. Washington visit screen 3. Herbert Ames.
This is your call, sir.
Security Commission, Ames. Oh, hello, Hanson.
Listen, Ames. You've got to get me the chief.
You kidding? He's at the test control room.
Yes, I know, but get him for me.
Hey, what's up? You look lousy. Or is it a bad circuit?
There's no time, Ames. I've got to get him before the test. It's about the ray bomb.
I can't take the responsibility.
Get it through, Hank, or I blast.
Hey, what's going on there?
Ames, my project has a high enough rating. This is a priority A call.
What? Well, it's your neck. Okay, I'll try to get him for you. He's in the control room, though. You'll have to switch off your screen and speaker and go on earphones. Too much going on in there. Security, you know.
You hear that, Steve? I've got to cut the screen.
All right. 8 minutes, Hank.
Hello? Hello? Yes, sir. This is Hanson at San Marco. No, sir. Priority A request to cancel the bomb test. No, look, I'm serious. I'm deadly serious. We sent the X2JTR up today to the outer limit, and we uncovered evidence. Yes, on the automatic instruments. What's that? No, this possible chain reaction. No, I can't tell you the whole story. There isn't time. Yes, I'll bring the readings into Washington in the morning. You've got to postpone the test till you see them. Yes, I understand that. I understand about the press. I'll take complete responsibility for this. What's that? Look, I've worked on contracts for the Commission for 10 years now. Yes, I have complete confidence in my information. You can record that. All right. I'll call you back immediately. Goodbye.
Hank?
He's agreed to cancel. The ray bomb won't go off.
Thank God.
All right, Steve. You can come down out of the ship.
There he comes. He's opening up.
All right, Steve. Come on down out of the ship.
Sure, Hank. Hank, I was scared. I was plain scared.
All right, easy now. It's all over. Bomb won't go off.
Thank God. Hey, look. I want to see Mary and the baby. Can you get me transportation now?
Hey, wait a minute. It's almost 12. They won't let you in the hospital now.
I want to see the baby.
For sure you do, but you've been under strain. I've got a shot here for you, Steve. Give you a good night's sleep. All right. Roll up your sleeve.
Sure.
Now, that'll make you sleep. Sergeant will find you a bed.
Come on, Mr. Weston. Well, good night, Hank. I am kind of beat. It's been a tough night.
Sure has. Thought for a minute he was going to blast those rockets and send us all to Kingdom Come.
Yeah.
Quite a stunt getting the ray bomb test called off.
It isn't called off.
But the call.
Ames couldn't get the chief. I was talking to a blank screen. Bomb goes off in a couple of minutes.
Oh. Poor Steve. He's one of the best.
He was the best. 1 in 10 million.
Some story of his, poor guy. For a while, he almost had me believing that quarantine. That's a very common delusion. The end of the world.
Last night, never saw the stars so bright.
Better be getting in. That wind is cold.
Bomb goes off in 30 seconds. Poor Steve.
You know, Hanson, there's just one thing.
Yeah?
It's outside my field, but I'm curious. How did he keep that ship in the air for 10 hours with only 10 minutes fuel?
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of Astounding Science Fiction. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you The Outer Limit by Graham Dorr, as adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Featured in the cast were Joseph Julian, Wendell Holmes, Joe DeSantis, Bob Hastings, James Dukas, and Freddie Chandler. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production.
You don't have to stop whatever you're doing to listen to your radio. Though you may have a lot to do whatever you've got to do. NBC will still get with music and drama, a life panorama. NBC's always got something brewing. Listen and you'll agree that there's always a smile from a twist of the dial to radio NBC.
Countdown for blastoff. X minus 5, 4, 3, 2, X minus 1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in 1,000,000 could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of Astounding Science Fiction, presents
X minus 1.
Tonight's story, 0 Hour, by Ray Bradbury.
It was a perfect summer day in the year 1985. Sunlight illumined the suburbs, and the town drowsed on a tide of warm, sunlit air. On the lawns, the children played, and in the homes, busy mothers prepared for the evening arrival of their husbands.
Excuse me, Mom.
Good heavens, Mink. What's all the excitement?
We're playing a game, Mommy, the most exciting game ever.
What are you doing in that cabinet?
I need some tools from Daddy's kit.
Your father may not
I'll take good care of them, Mom, I promise.
Very well, dear. Don't lose anything. Oh, what's the name of the game, Mink?
Invasion.
Oh, invasion. What will they think of next?
This, and this, and this, and this. Put that over there and bring that over here. No, you ninny. Now get back while I fix this. They want it this way. See?
Sure. Just let me fix this.
We'd better talk to Drill and get some more instructions, Art.
Where is Drill? Drill? Hey, Drill! Drill!
He's in the rose bush, I think. I'll talk to him myself, and you write it down on the pad.
Okay.
Drill? Drill? Okay. Drill wants you to write down triangle.
What's a triangle?
Never mind. Drill will tell us when he wants us to know. It helps the invasion.
Well, how do you spell it?
Drill, how do you...
Shh! Mink, here's your mother looking out the window.
Mink? Who are you talking to?
The rose bush, Mom. Only it's not really a rose bush. That's Drill.
Well, who's Drill?
He's planning the invasion.
Oh, what an imagination. You'd better come in, dear, and clean up for supper.
In just a second, Mom. Art, did you write down what Drill just said?
Yup. 4, 9, 7, and A, and B, and X, and a fork, and a string, and a hexagony.
Hexagonal, droopy.
Oh.
Come in, Mink. Supper's in 10 minutes.
Okay, Mom, just a minute. I have to tell Drill. I wish we didn't have to eat, though. It holds up the invasion.
Mink, for heaven's sake, slow down. You'll choke on that soup.
I can't, Mom. It's a matter of life and death.
What's a matter of life and death?
The invasion.
What invasion is that?
Oh, just some silly game the children have been playing.
Well, whatever it is, Mink, it'll wait until you've finished your supper, I'm sure.
But Drill is waiting for me, Daddy.
Oh, who's Drill? New boy in the neighborhood?
He's new, all right, only you can't see him. Not yet. He hasn't come through yet.
What do you mean you can't see him?
He lives in a rose bush in our backyard.
Oh.
Imagination, Henry.
Mm-hmm. Well, while you're at it, tell me more about this new game.
It's Martians invading Earth, Dad.
What?
Well, not exactly Martians, Dad. They're from, I don't know, from up.
And from the inside of that little head of yours.
You're laughing. Drill said you would. You'll kill Drill and everybody.
Well, I didn't know you could kill a Martian.
Not really a Martian, Mom. Maybe he's from Jupiter. Or Venus, even.
Imagine.
They couldn't figure out a way to attack the Earth. So the kids are helping the Martians.
Oh, pretty slick, those Martians, using the kids for a fifth column, eh, Mary?
Drill says after the invasion, we can stay up as late as we want. No more baths, either.
Oh, is that so?
And we can watch all the grown-up televisor shows.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't wonder this invasion has caught on among the kids.
Some of the kids are giving us trouble, like Dale Britz and Petey Jarrick. They're growing up, so they won't believe in the invasion. They make fun. Worse than parents, even. I hate them worst. We'll kill them first.
I hope you're saving your father and me for last.
Drill says you're dangerous. Know why?
Why?
'Cause you don't believe the Martians ought to let us kids run the world. But I think they'll let me keep you because I'm helping so much. I'll talk to Drill. Maybe we won't have to kill you.
Mary, I think this nonsense has gone far enough.
Can I go out now, please?
Run along, dear.
Don't worry, Dad. I won't let them hurt you.
Televisor.
Oh, would you please connect me with Mrs. Helen Rogerson on Channel 72Z, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
What is your channel, please?
817X, New Rochelle, New York.
Thank you. Just a moment. Go ahead. You can see your party now.
Hi, sis. How are things in New York?
Fine, Helen. How are things in Pittsburgh? Oh, you look tired.
Oh, I've been having a terrible time with the children.
Sick?
No, just underfoot. They've got a new game that's got me just about crazy. It's called Invasion.
Did you say invasion? Isn't that strange? My Mink is playing it, too.
My boy Tim is all involved with some imaginary fellow named Drill, who's running the invasion.
Must be a new password. Mink likes him, too.
How do you suppose these games start? My backyard looks like a scrap drive. They've got every conceivable kind of mechanical gadget out there. I talked to Josephine Schiller in Boston, and she says her kids are wild about it, too. It's sweeping the country.
I can't understand it. Helen, do you suppose...
What?
Oh, nothing. Just a wild thought that crossed my mind. Oh, say, the reason I called is that black and white cake recipe...
What was that?
I don't know. One of the children might have hurt himself. I'll have to run and see, dear. Call me back tonight, will you?
All right, Mary. Bye.
Mink? What is it? Who was that who screamed?
Peggy Ann.
What happened?
She got scared and ran home.
Did you hit her?
Nope, she just got scared. She's a scare baby anyway.
Now, Mink, tell me why she screamed.
No, I can't.
Mink, you'll answer me or come inside this instant. I've had enough nonsense.
I can't quit now, Mom. It's almost 0 hour.
Then tell me what frightened Peggy Ann.
Okay, she saw Drill. He almost came through.
Through what?
Those pipes and things we set up. She looked into one of the pipes and screamed. I guess she saw Drill.
And no one hit her?
No, Mom.
Very well, Mink. I'll call Peggy Ann's mother and see how she is.
If we could only get Drill through, it would be easy. Then all the others could come through after him.
I'm going in now, Mink. I'll call you in for your bath in half an hour. Your father and I want to go out tonight.
You won't be able to go out, Mom.
Why not?
0 hour's 5 o'clock, Mom.
Hello, dear.
Oh, you're home early, Henry.
Mm-hmm. Thought I'd relax a little before we went to the theater. Where's the little one?
Out back.
Oh, same game?
Mm-hmm. Same game. They've got a stack of pipes and hammers and spoons a mile high out there.
Oh, my children. Why do we have them?
Well, they are strange creatures, aren't they? Even Mink. She's a part of us, and yet...
Yeah, look, dear, I'd like to discuss this with you, but we do have a theater date, and it's almost 5 o'clock now, so... Say, what's happened to the kids? They're so quiet. Now, when children are quiet, you know there's some mischief. Say, what's that sound?
I don't know.
Those kids aren't playing with anything electrical, are they?
Well, I'm sure they aren't. At least...
Just the same, I'd better go out.
Henry, ask them to put off the invasion.
Good Lord, what's that? Mary, look out the window.
Henry!
What is it? Where are the children? Mary, why are you shaking? What did you see?
Henry! Quick, up to the attic.
Well, they aren't in the attic.
Yes, the attic, quick.
Mary, come back here. Mary, don't go up. They aren't up there. Mary, are you out of your mind? There's no one up here.
Quick, shut the door. Lock it.
But there's nothing up here. What is wrong with you? Now, Mary, come to your senses.
Henry, we've got to stay here and hide.
What are you talking about?
I saw it through the window. Henry, it was horrible. They weren't making believe. It is an invasion.
Oh, Mary, for heaven's sake, let's get down out of this attic and talk this over sensibly. I want to find out if Mink is all right.
She's all right. I saw her. She was leading them around the corner of the house.
Leading who? The kids?
Shh. Listen.
Well, there's nothing.
Listen. The front door. They're coming.
Good Lord, those kids sound like 50 men with boots on.
No, not men. Oh, please, God, don't let them find us. Don't let them, please, God.
I don't understand this. Who's there?
Don't shout, they'll hear.
Who's down there? I demand that you answer me.
Oh, they're coming. The whole house is shaking.
Who's there?
Hush, please be quiet. They might go away. Henry.
Mom? Dad? Are you in the attic?
Henry, listen.
That's Mink. It's Mink. We've got to save her.
Henry, don't you understand? She's leading them.
What?
She's leading them. She's on their side, Henry. Oh, please, God, forgive them.
The children on their side?
She told us, but we wouldn't believe her. Shh, listen. They're coming up. Oh, God.
Mom? Dad? We know you're in there. I guess you better melt the lock drill.
Henry, the lock. It's melting. The door. Oh, dear God.
Mom, Dad? Oh, I see you now. Peekaboo!
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of Astounding Science Fiction. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you 0 Hour by Ray Bradbury, as adapted for radio by George Lefferts. Featured in the cast were Nina Reeder, David Pfeffer, Peggy Lubin, Les Damon, Raleigh Bester, Bob Hastings, and John Larkin. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production. And now, next week, The Vital Factor by Nelson Bond. The story of a man who sought to rule the universe and then discovered that this formula for gaining that power was minus one precious ingredient. You'll hear it on X-1.
It's Groomed for Your Interests, weekday, NBC Radio.
Countdown for blastoff. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X minus 1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of Astounding Science Fiction, presents
X minus 1.
Tonight's story, The Vital Factor by Nelson Bond. I doubt that anywhere on Earth there's a man or woman or a child who doesn't know the name Wayne Crowder. I doubt whether there's a human being who hasn't at one time or another used one of the Crowder products. The can opener or the razor blade or the patented tooth powder dispenser or the Crowder improved slideless fastener. In the magazines which write about men of business, Crowder was described as a man of ice and stone and ink and steel. No warmth to his blood. And a heart to pump, not feel human emotion. And he built a battery of buttons into his desk so that when he wanted something, all he ever had to do was press a button. And like genies springing out of the bottle, the proper personnel would come running.
Yes, Mr. Crowder.
Get me my engineers.
Yes, sir. Right away, Mr. Crowder. Here are your engineers, sir.
All right, close the door and get out. Now, gentlemen, sit down. Gentlemen, I want you to build me a spaceship.
A spaceship, sir?
That's right. I've decided that I am going to be the man who gives space flight to mankind. Any questions?
Sir, we can design such a ship. That part isn't too hard.
Yes?
But we've no way of providing the motor to power such a ship.
When the ship's ready to fly, there'll be a motor.
Sir, I don't like to contradict you, but you can't go ahead of the total technology of a historical period. It's like asking somebody in 1600 to build the internal combustion engine. You see, scientists have been searching for a motive power for spaceships for decades now without success. You'll have a ship, but we can't lift that ship from the Earth's surface. That is, not to the point of free flight at any rate.
Mr. Crowder, you see you'll be spending millions of dollars, hundreds of millions perhaps, for nothing.
What's your name?
Phillips, sir.
You're fired. Go down to the cashier and draw your pay and get out.
What, sir?
Get out. Nobody who works for me thinks of how much something costs. What? We use money. We don't let expense provide a rationalization for not beginning a project. All right, Phillips. I give you permission to leave. Right now. Any other comments?
The ship will be built, of course, Mr. Crowder. The fact still remains, we can't power it.
You design the ship, I'll find the motor for you.
Where, sir?
I don't know. But somewhere in the world there's a man who does know the secret. I want that motor, and I'll root out the man who has the theory which will let us build it.
How quickly do you want this done, sir?
Yesterday.
Yes, sir.
Is there anything you need?
We'll need a construction yard, sir, and certain machinery and a great many materials, of course. Labor force.
Get them. Send me the bills. I don't want to be bothered with minor details.
Yes, sir. And, one more thing, sir. Phillips.
Yes?
We need him, sir. He's a top man on electronics. He's a vital cog in our team.
I don't want Phillips working for me. That's clear, I hope. Who else in the country knows what he does?
No one in this country, sir. There's a man in India, though.
Get him.
We've tried before, Mr. Crowder. He's working on an important project in his country.
I'm not concerned with details. Get that man, pay him what he wants, but get him.
Sir, you don't understand. If this man quits his job, that whole project will collapse. It means the welfare of many people, millions of people in his country. He has a high sense of patriotism.
Buy that sense of patriotism. That's all. I don't want to see any of you again until you have a report of work in progress.
Yes, sir.
Miss Holmes, there's a man named Phillips going to draw his pay. I want 2 company policemen to meet him at the cashier's office and escort him from there directly off the premises, and I want them to be emphatic about it.
Yes, Mr. Crowder.
And notify the newspapers, the television, and the radio networks, the periodicals, and the scientific journals that I'll receive the press in my office this afternoon at 3:30. I have an important announcement to make. Anyone not here at 3:30 will be barred, and the publication or company he represents will not be given any further information. Gentlemen, you can finish your drinks later. Gentlemen of the press, and ladies, it's my pleasure to be able to tell you that I'm in the process of constructing a spaceship. Any questions?
Did you say spaceship?
That's right.
That's what I thought you said. I knew the drinks weren't that strong.
Mr. Crowder, is this spaceship under construction now?
It is.
You solved the problem of motive force, then?
No, sir.
Well, what sort of... You mean you have no means of propulsion for this spaceship?
That problem is not solved as yet.
Oh!
It will be! That's why I called you in this afternoon. I want you to announce that I have $100,000 in cash, waiting for the man or woman who first brings me the basic idea for such a motor. I'll supply all equipment for research and construction, and I'll see that the rights of the inventor are protected and more than adequate royalties will be paid him or her. That's all I have to say now.
Mr. Crowder, one more question, please.
Yes?
Do you have a name for this spaceship yet?
No, not yet.
Well, then let me suggest one.
Yes?
Crowder's Folly.
Quiet! All of you, quiet! What is your paper?
The Daily Times, sir.
Miss Holmes, inform the company police that under no circumstances is any representative of the Daily Times ever to be allowed on company property again. Strike that paper from the list of those to be invited to future conferences.
It was Crowder's Folly, but the word of what he wanted circulated to the far corners of the globe. It was known in the white ice block huts of the Eskimos and in the grass-thatched villages of Central Africa, as well as places less remote. And the Crowder office became the Mecca and the heaven for the lunatic fringe of humanity. Their blueprints and scale models clogged its corridors.
I told you I don't want these people in my office till they're screened. Now get out, get out! Every time I open that door, they surge in like a tidal wave.
I have a progress report for you, sir. The ship is finished as far as we can go, Mr. Crowder. Certain additional construction can't be done now because it depends on the shape and mass of the engine, on the type of fuel, on the weight of that fuel.
I see, all right. Lay off everybody we don't need.
I've ordered that. Mr. Crowder, is it possible that no one will turn up with a motor?
That's the one thing that's not possible. He will come. Money and determination will buy anything. Close the door on your way out.
Yes, sir.
Miss Holmes, order the proper department to put a name on the forward end of the ship. I want letters in pure gold 1 foot high. The name of the ship is Crowder's Folly. Get it done today.
The sun came up in the morning, and the sun set at night, glinting rose on the silver sheen of the hollow ship's skin as it lay in the yard. The golden letters on the prow spelled out the fury of Crowder for the world to see. A staff of 50 were employed as time went on in taking rust preventative measures to ensure the ship's well-being. The staff of 50 worked in 3 shifts around the clock, armed with oil cans and grease cans and other containers and sprayers of preservatives. In a year, the first experiment seemed ready to bear fruit, and a test was held. The atomic fission motor.
In exactly 45 seconds now, we'll hold the test, Mr. Crowder. The sound you hear is our generators here, building up power to supply the motor by remote control. If this needle goes round to the part of the dial marked in red, there'll be an explosion. Are there any questions, sir?
Proceed with the tests.
Watch the needle, sir. 8,000, 8,500, 9,000, 10, 11, 12, 15. That's an overload now, sir. 18, 20. I don't know how much more it can...
What happened? The generator blew out. What kind of incompetency?
I beg your pardon, sir. The motor blew up.
What are you talking about? I would have heard...
You see, sir, it takes a while for the vibrations of an explosion to travel 3 miles and then reach through 15 feet of concrete.
I see. Well, there are other experiments in progress. Let me know when they're ready for testing.
Yes, sir. Mr. Crowder, the inventor of that motor had to be right with it, of course, during the tests. He had a family.
The fool knew what he was doing. He understood the danger. He was paid enough to be able to afford insurance.
The cost of insurance on such a project was prohibitive, sir.
Well, if his wife was thrifty, she saved out of what he earned this last year.
His salary was relatively small, sir. Most of the money went for the research.
He should have demanded an adequate salary. I haven't stinted on money. The fool failed. I have no further responsibility.
Yes, sir. You want us to continue screening applicants?
Of course. All right. Make a settlement on the widow. And don't turn anyone away if he seems to have the remotest possibility of success. I'm telling you, my man will come. Money and determination will buy anything.
And strangely enough, Crowder was right. Because one day there came to his office a stranger, a small man. He looked even smaller in that tremendous room. He was an unusual visitor in that he carried no briefcase fat with blueprints or formulae. He was unusual in that he neither blustered, cowered, nor deferred to his host. He was a pleasant little stranger, bird-like of eye, movement, bright and smiling.
Mr. Crowder, my name is Wilkins. I can power that ship you want.
So?
Of course, what I have in mind won't be anything like that meaningless, huge bullet your engineers built for you. Rockets are a foolish waste of time, sir. My motor requires a different sort of vessel.
Where are your plans?
Right here in my head.
It so happens that I'm presently supporting half a dozen people who make the same claims. None of them have been successful. What makes you think your idea will work?
Simple enough, sir. The common magnet.
Huh?
Electromagnetism. Utilization of the force of gravity, or its opposite in this case, counter-gravity.
Oh, no. Oh, thank you very much. Now, if you'll forgive me now...
Just one moment, Mr. Crowder. There's one thing more. This.
Now, I've seen pieces of metal before, thank you.
How high from your desk would you say that I'm holding it?
I'm very sorry, Mr. Wilkins. Now, do you want to leave or do you want to be escorted out?
Now, this will only take a second, sir. How high from your desk would you say that I'm holding this piece of metal?
1.5 feet, I'd say.
And if I let go, then in less than a second, a fraction of a second, it should fall to your desk.
Now, look, I don't want the surface of that desk marred.
What will it be? You see, I have let go of the metal, is that right?
Good Lord.
Many seconds ago, it should have crashed to the desk, am I right?
Well, this is incredible.
Well, if you want to speak to me anymore, I'll be right outside.
But it hasn't fallen.
That's right, sir. It hasn't fallen.
It floats in the air.
That's right, sir. It floats in the air.
How do you do it?
Why don't you call your engineers and ask them? I'll wait outside.
Miss Holmes, Get me my engineers. Immediately. All right, Mr. Wilkins, you're quite right. The piece of metal is apparently counter-gravity, and my engineers can give me no explanation.
Thank you, sir.
Now, what do you want?
For my services?
Yes.
You've already set the price. To build a pilot model based on this sample, no great expenditure, 100th of the cost of your behemoth sitting out there in your building yard. 3 other things: a workshop, expert mechanical assistance, and an answer to one question.
What is your question?
Why do you want so much to build this ship?
Frankly, because I love power. Because I'm ambitious. I want to be the first to conquer space, because if I can do it, it'll make me greater, richer, stronger than any man has ever been. I want to be the master, not only of one world, but of worlds.
That's an honest answer. But is it the only one?
You see those letters in gold on the prow of my ship? Crowder's Folly, that's what they named it. That's what they think of me. I want to cram those words down their petty little throats and let them eat mud. That's another answer.
And that's all? That is as far as your thinking goes?
What other answer is there to your question?
There's my own answer. I want to leave this planet and go elsewhere, to Mars, perhaps, because there are strange wonders yet to be found. Because there will be scarlet sunsets over barren wastes, and in the star-strewn night, the thin, cold air of a dying world stirring in restless sighs across the valleys of the dry canals. You may laugh out loud if you wish, Mr. Crowder. I would prefer that to the peculiar repressed smile you're now exhibiting.
You're a very lucky man, Mr. Wilkins, in that you have scientific talent, because your talents as a poet are inferior and very sentimental. All right, you're a sentimentalist, and I'm a man of action. No matter. We can work together, you and I. Your workshop will be ready by morning. I don't need to hear from you again till you have something to show me. If you need to see me, call me day or night. I'll be available. But don't bother me with details, because I probably won't understand what you're talking about anyhow. If you need money or materials or personnel, just tell my engineers. You'll get it, or I'll know the reason why. That's all.
Thank you, sir.
Miss Holmes, get me my engineers.
Yes, Mr. Crowder?
We have 50 men working on preserving that useless hulk out there in the construction yards. Lay them off.
The ship will deteriorate if we do that, sir.
Let it rot. Lay them off.
Yes, sir.
How many other employees are still working for us on the project?
About 3,000, sir, including the people working on experimental motors.
Get rid of them.
Sir?
Get rid of them.
Mr. Crowder, I never thought you'd drop this project. You were so adamant
I'm not dropping anything but deadwood. You saw what Wilkins had to offer. He's my man. And the rest is junk and nonsense.
Mr. Crowder, he might fail. We ought to have a minimum of protection against...
I say he won't fail. I know the goods when I see it. The rest is nonsense.
Several of the experimenters were making much greater progress than I thought was possible. There are great opportunities there.
I'm not interested.
Not only in the field of spaceships, sir. One man has a motor no bigger than a football, which will drive an automobile 24 hours on 4 cents worth of fuel. It's almost finished, sir.
Not interested.
It will be of great benefit to mankind, sir. Your name will go down...
My name will go down in history for this spaceship.
The profits in such a motor, sir.
I have more money now than I even know how to count. And when I make my space flight, I'll have more than that.
Yes, sir.
You just lay everybody off that isn't needed. Give them 2 weeks' pay and my thanks for a thankless job well done. And that's all.
Yes, sir. I'll get it done, sir.
Oh, one more thing. There's no need to let the folly rot. Dismantle it. Sell the basic materials we don't need. Salvage whatever will be useful to us. That's all.
A year's work.
Yes. In 10 years or 20 years, then I do the same thing. That's why you're an engineer, and I'm an executive. That's why you work for me. Because when I have to, I can be ruthless with my own mistakes. When a thing has lost its usefulness to me, I get rid of it. Well?
I was just thinking, Mr. Crowder, what would happen to me if my usefulness to you were over? I've worked for you 20 years now.
Just don't give me any occasion to consider your usefulness terminated. That oughtn't to be too hard.
What?
Nothing, sir. I'll make the arrangements at once.
Who are you? What do you want?
I tried to stop him, sir.
Well, speak up, man.
My name is Jarvis Ustuli. I'm an electronics expert.
Oh, yes, I remember. You're the Indian. Come in.
Do you want me, sir? I can never...
Never mind, Miss Holmes. Just stay outside. Close the door behind you. Sit down, Miss Ustuli.
Thank you, no. I want to give you a gift before I leave.
Oh? You leaving? I thought we still needed you.
I resigned.
Sorry to hear that. I'm told you're a good man.
I want you to understand what's behind this gift.
Huh?
I was working on a power project in my country which would have meant a tremendous rise in the standard of living for millions of my people. I was unable to resist the money you offered.
Well, had you resisted, even more money would have been forthcoming. I placed no limit on your worth to me.
I understand. But you see, I did not come without a sense of guilt, because there was no one in my country who could take my place.
I would assume that.
And now I discover that what I did was for nothing. The spaceship on which I worked is being dismantled.
That's right.
So I have been corrupted by you at a whim. I think you have too much power, sir. I think you use your power for evil, selfish purposes.
Selfish, yes. Evil, no. Only sentimentality is evil.
I think otherwise. And so, in order that you shall not corrupt anyone else, I have this gift for you. Here you are, sir. And just one more shot for good measure to make sure you're really dead. Good.
Miss Holmes, there's a man on his way out by the name of Jarvis Ustuli, an engineer. He's not to be molested. He probably won't stop at the cashier, so I want a check for 6 months' salary in advance mailed to his home address. The man showed a certain quality of ruthlessness which is deserving of recognition. Oh, and have the chief of the company police bring me a new bulletproof vest. This one seems to have been dented in a couple of places.
The new spaceship, according to Wilkins' plans, as executed by Crowder's engineers, was finished within 4 months. It was small, it was shaped like a disc. It gleamed brightly even in the smoky haze of an October sunset. Inside, Crowder and Mr. Wilkins, in a small cubicle at the heart of the machine, sat surrounded by many instruments of a complicated nature. Outside, huge crowds gathered to witness the test. They stirred and murmured, waiting restlessly, as inside the control room of the craft, Wilkins installed the final secret part he had not revealed to those who built his driving apparatus.
Well, Wilkins, what's holding us up?
Nothing new. Oh, sentiment, perhaps? A wish to look once more on Earth's familiar scenes? There. Now the screening is removed. Look at the people out there.
Never mind looking out there. Let's leave that thing closed. You're a sentimental fool. Or are you afraid? Or did you decide at the last minute that your invention would work?
It will work. Sit down, Mr. Crowder. Thank you. Do me a favor. When I press this button, will you please press the button on the arm of the chair in which you're seated? I'll tell you when.
Turn on your motor. I want to hear its roar and feel its tug as we cut loose from Earth's gravity and fly outward into space. That might be a moment in which I'd share your sentimentality.
Press your button now, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Wilkins, I'm beginning to distrust you. If this is all a hoax, when are we going to take off? You said at 5 sharp, and it's 2 minutes after 5 now. Well, do we move or don't we?
Mr. Crowder, we're already moving. The button you pushed was to nullify the effects of acceleration. If you don't mind, sir, I'd like to open the screen again. Now, if you care to look, see for yourself.
Wilkins, we're in space. Look down at the Earth. How far we've come. Why, it's no bigger than a toy balloon. No, a dime. No, a firefly. Man, Wilkins, you've done it.
Yes.
I swore to be the first man to conquer space, and I've done it. It's a triumph of power and ambition.
And sentiment.
Blast sentiment. Your maudlin dreaming would have died unborn except for me. I made this possible, Wilkins. Don't you ever forget that. My capital, my forcefulness, my will. Look out there. Space. Stars that never were seen from Earth. And this is only the beginning. We'll build a larger model, one great enough to hold 100 men, 1,000, and cargo besides. Whoever wants to leave Earth this moment must come to me. I am the master of the planets. All right, Wilkins. Turn back now.
No.
Huh? I said turn back.
No.
Well, we've proved the ship can fly now. Now turn back. I want to start work at once in preparation for the long flights to come.
Not so. We will go on.
What are you doing, defying me? I'll break your puny little body into pieces.
Can you control this ship, Mr. Crowder? Would you like to be stranded out here in space, just adrift in space without control? Would you like that?
Turn back.
No.
What's the matter with you? Are you out of your mind?
Oh, I am a sentimentalist, Mr. Crowder. Your money and ambition paved the way, that's true, but sentiment was the vital factor that sent me to you. Sentiment, sir. You see, Mr. Crowder, I wanted to go home.
Home? Home? You are out of your mind.
You will forgive me if I remove these primitive clothes?
Who are you?
Oh, it's all right, Mr. Crowder. I hold no special malice toward you. There's no need to be so terrified because you've had your first close look at a Martian.
You have just heard X-1 presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of Astounding Science Fiction. Tonight by transcription, X-1 has brought you The Vital Factor by Nelson Bond, as adapted for radio by Howard Rodman. Featured in the cast were Joe DeSantis, Guy Sorrell, John McGovern, Grant Richards, Louis Van Ruten, Richard Hamilton, and Florence Williams. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production.